put your hands together for the fantastic John, who is going to take us back into that world, I suspect, of geology and rocks. And we're going to start hearing about how collaboration was one of the key mechanisms through which a very large zinc asset was discovered in Ireland. So, John, over to your lovely self. Thank you very much.
Okay, so good morning, everybody. And firstly, I'd like to thank Eileen and Jocelyn for the invite, and also Sarah for excellent chairmanship skills. It's sometimes said that when you start a talk, you should say something fairly trivial to get the talking juices going. So there's one thing I can share with you very briefly. Since I retired, I've been learning to play the guitar, and not particularly well, I have to say. But last night I did an online playthrough using the guitar to 45 other people in the group that I'm in, and I can share that raised my blood pressure considerably more than this this presentation. Anyway, let's get into it. This talk's going to be a lot more specific than some of the previous ones, talking about exploration in particular. And in summary, what I'm going to be saying is exploration is difficult. How do we improve the odds? Can we improve the odds through collaboration? Look at a case history from near mine exploration at Navan and throw some points out for discussion. So it's a difficult task. If exploration was not difficult, metal prices would be similar to common building materials. So there's an often quoted hierarchy of the difficulty of finding deposits. You go from 10,000 anomalies to 1,000 targets, 100 prospects, 10 drill targets, and end up with a mine. Okay, that's all debatable and can vary, but that gives you the scale of the difficulty which we're challenged. We need to improve those odds. And please don't make the mistake that a lot of people make, that this is just a pure science-driven project. It's not just a question of using science to define the target and then finding the deposit. Not only do you have to get across those odds, but there's a whole world of non-geological information and hassle that you have to go through. Essentially, you have to get the cash, you have to get the confidence to support your justification for the cash from the investors. You have to have a sense of enterprise and confidence. You have to have experience, and there's a whole tranche of permitting and environmental controls and publicity, access and social license that has to be gone through, and a lot of failure until success. So essentially, you have a bucket of cash at the start, and then you have to start hitting those anomalies to find that mine. So how can we improve those odds? It's very important to note that you don't find that mine until you've got some drill holes into it. As they say, IQ gets you there and NQ finds it. So there's a lot of hard practical work that's required. So that's what happens if you want to find a mine. And on a rather flippant note, I'm going to say, so now you want to find a mine for critical minerals and you want to be responsible and sustainable. Well, very highfalutin aims, folks, but it's going to be really hard. So maybe we need some new thinking. So at a recent conference in Dublin, Murray Fest, and I see Murray is in the audience, so welcome, Murray. Colin, Andrew, and myself put some ideas together for the future for improving the success of exploration in Ireland. And lots of things came to mind, and collaboration was one of them. So if you look at the vast amount of data and technology available, the question is not getting so much new data, but to use the old data. So once we have all that data, what do we do with it? So, regional compilations are one way that we can use that data, but I would make the case that exploration companies and everybody really is not particularly good at this. They don't like looking at old data. They like justifying large amounts of money to get new data. but I think we should be better at looking at the old data and making good compilations of that data. In other words, what I'm saying, we need improved ways of interpreting data, some sort of AI data preparation and presentation, and then assessment by expert industry and academic specialists. So that's really collaboration. So let's discuss it. So my definition of collaboration basically is two heads are better than one. And it's so true. I can go through countless examples on a simple scale where that works in a mine environment. You just want to drill a hole, maybe. If there's 4 people in the room, generally you get a better outcome if there's 1 person in the room. So could we improve the outcomes of the meetings we already have in collaboration? I think we could. Could we speed up and generate new ideas with relatively little cost? Perhaps, because after all, the cost of getting people together and talking and thinking is not particularly high compared to most industry endeavors. We could consider regular and open collaborative industry survey academic workshops. But what's the optimal format for such meetings? And we all know that some meetings are spectacularly better than others. So why? Well, we could go through several reasons for that, but in particular, I'm going to go through a case history of an experts meeting we had prior to the discovery of an extension to the world-class lead zinc deposit at Navan, owned by Boliden Tower Mines. So to go through that, this is a plan of the ore body. I'm afraid I'm not going to go through any of the geology, but let's just say there was a history of discoveries and extensions around the deposit. And around about 2000, 2010, our discoveries were starting to dry up. We drilled the obvious targets and it wasn't working. So in 2012, we discovered a new deep extension, which is about 25 million tons at 8% zinc. And this is a part of the story of how it was discovered. So as I said, we had poor exploration results in the 2000s, and we needed to find a step change. So the basic idea was to leverage the knowledge, experience, research, and all the information we had in the ore body and what new technology was available to address it. So we put together an experts meeting held with world-class participants that suited that task. You can see this in the photograph, some people there, and many of those you can recognize. So some notes on that meeting, and I apologize for the bullet heavy nature of this, but I'll hopefully simplify it slightly. So the inputs are already discussed: vast geological databases, many consultative and academic studies. Participants, we're fairly careful to put together the participants for this extra meeting, for this collaboration. So we had company geologists, the local company geologists, including a specialist people to drive the technology, so we could throw up examples of the historical data or 3D models on the screen. We had people from Sweden and head office. These included people that had exploration discovery at other mines in Sweden and had been through an in-house brainstorming process in Sweden, so they could bring that to the table. We had some structural geology consultants, both with expert knowledge of Navan, but also worldwide expertise in oil and gas. We had a stratigraphic consultant, a geophysical consultant, an academic consultant, and an economic geologist with worldwide geological and discovery experience. So in terms of the outcomes, we had literally scores of new ideas and initiatives, and I was absolutely amazed at the huge amount of information we got back out of it. We got a focus on geographic areas around the mine for further work. And in particular, we got a huge boost in confidence that discovery was possible that led to the successful introduction of seismic surveying. This wouldn't have happened without this experts meeting, because we wouldn't have been able to justify the money that we needed to get to introduce seismic surveying. So this is a graphic of how it actually happened. You can see here's a 3D of the mine site, very close to Devon Town. It's a star environmental example of a mine site being close to a town. This is a section across the area, existing mine with the drill holes. And this is superimposed on the results of a seismic survey we did down this motorway here, which is the M3 motorway. You can see the vibroseis units working down here. So essentially what happened was that pre-2010, we had knowledge of this part of the mine on the left-hand side. We did the seismic survey in 2011, and that gave us a target in this area here that was drilled and immediately gave us good results. So general comment on the experts meeting itself. We had a very good balance of participants. We had a good balance of knowledge, ego, and experience. We had the problem of too much information, but we tried to mitigate that by local experience and computer display of the information. There was great focus at the meeting of getting positive results, almost no personality clashes, although some friendly banter between myself and the petroleum geologist was, I think, a highlight. We had an excellent wrap-up and recommendations from worldwide expert Murray Hitzman. Murray's in the audience. Don't want to embarrass Murray, but it's very important to have somebody around who's had experience of lots of discovery. And I think these people, they actually get an instinct for this kind of work, and it's important to listen to what they say. And as I said, the increased confidence in discovery allowed the funding for seismics. So this isn't the model for all future collaboration for exploration. It's an example of how it can work. So this was very specific to a near mine exploration location, and regional exploration collaboration could be quite different. So last slide, some points for discussion and some general conclusions. As I say, it's important to have the expertise of participants to match the targeting and to get this all-important thing of supporting the confidence to get funding. There's a mix of company experts, decision makers, consultants, academics, and I think it might be worth adding in some cases geological survey and those geologists involved in formal governmental licensing. I think such collaboration could take the form of something that wasn't a conference, not an in-house technical meeting, not an industry workshop. And I put down there, it's a targeted forum for collaborative effort, where attendees come in with the right knowledge and we're able to work together. So some of those participants will have been working together on similar problems before the meeting, and some of the participants will be keen to continue work on the same problem after the meeting. So it's not a workshop or a conference where everybody arrives, has a good time, and then departs to the four corners of the world. There has to be some sustained work. So in terms of problems, confidentiality is probably the biggest problem for industry. And another problem that industry has is over robust control of discussion. I've been at lots of technical meetings in industry where we have consultants in, and suddenly you find yourself, and I'm going to blame myself for this one, but lots of other people are guilty. Suddenly you find yourself talking over the consultants, explaining why they're talking nonsense. We sometimes have to shut up and listen to other people in the collaboration. I'd make the point that the time payment for expert participation, which this needs, it needs a probably a higher level of consultant remuneration than is the case at the moment. It's a fraction of the other exploration costs, so this is inexpensive. And finally, this isn't an original idea. I know some companies do similar things at the moment. They could probably fine-tune them. A lot of companies don't do anything of the kind. So there is improvement for current collaboration and meetings, and I think it's worth discussing how we look at the space between international conference, in-house workshops, focused workshops, and in some way find some middle ground that has a slightly longer lasting effect and is used to build this idea of increased collaboration, assisting exploration. So with that, we can discuss or move on. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you so, so much, John. Round of applause, everybody, for John. And yeah, it's so exciting to see what came of that targeted forum for collaborative effort, where everybody shut up and listened to one another, is how I would summarize that. John, there's a question that's just come in, which is, this looks like this was really quite special in terms of that kind of environment and ethos that was created. Have you done this again?
Yep, we have done that on several occasions again. And I want to be careful now not to say too much, but the following occasion was done 5 years later. And I again put the participants together. I put too many people in. And there was a few people there that wanted to put their ideas in a little bit too strongly, in my opinion. Apologies if any of those people are listening, but I guess I can put myself down as one. So not too many people. And again, this thing that I mentioned, that we in industry are guilty of trying to control the collaboration a little bit too strongly. I think sometimes you pay for your consultants, you listen to their advice, and then you do something else. It's not really how it should work.
And just on that, John, in terms of, some people come and they have their ideas and they really want to push them, and actually them realizing, hang on, take a step back and just listen to what other people are saying. Do you have any suggestions as to how you gently persuade someone to shut up and listen? Or to have that maturity, I guess, to realize, hang on, somebody else might not be saying exactly the same thing as you, but what they're saying is incredibly useful. And then together we can take this to a whole new level.
Yeah, it's very important to have excellent sharing skills, Sarah, and I wish I had your sharing skills. But I tend to try and be tactful, and anybody who knows me will say that I am not tactful, and it doesn't work extremely well. So I probably need practice on that. But a good chairman is definitely a key element.
Okay, brilliant. Well, with that, John, I shall take that on board. Thank you very much for the compliment. Everyone, please put your hands together for the wonderful John Ashton. Thank you very much. Excellent.